Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Galakrond guide for Battlegrounds for patch 18.6.1. So, Galakrond has a zero gold ability that replaces a minion in Bob's Tavern with one from a higher tavern tier. So, you can use this from the beginning of the game and turn a Tavern 1 minion to a Tavern 2 minion, turn Tavern 2 to 3, and so on. This ability allows you to get very high tavern tier minions extremely early, as you can freeze the tavern and upgrade a minion multiple times. It also, being zero cost, guarantees that the ability will be relevant because you can always use it from the beginning of the game till you lose. So as of patch 18.6.1, Galakrond of this patch is S tier, which is really great. A powerful hero to play whenever you have him available. He has a lot of decision making and is a fun hero to use. So some of the benefits of this hero is you can find direction extremely early due to his ability getting high tavern tier units, and you can spike at any stage of the game. Right, doesn't matter what happens if you get a Caligos or two of them, you're gonna spike. So very powerful in that way. The hero power can be utilized flexibly, so you can just create early game pressure and not go for a late game direction, or you can hero power the same minion for a late game piece. So you can utilize almost every single composition due to the nature of his hero power, allowing you to be very flexible and deciding what to go based on what you hit. Some of the negatives of this hero is it's not a simple hero to play. Not a lot of decisions have to be made to use this hero correctly, and you have to adapt to what the units roll. And getting non-directional pieces as your with your ability can slow down your build and bait you also into making inefficient compositions. You also do rely on the spikes for getting higher tier minions, right? A lot of your plays come from those higher tier minions, so it's not a consistent way to form compositions. You can't force a composition that well with this hero, so you have to, rely on what you get to make your compositions. And the strength is based on how balanced the tavern tiers are. If there is powerful units in lower tavern tiers, then this hero isn't necessarily useful because other people can spike in the same way you can. So th- those changes in the tavern tiers can also change how strong this hero is with different updates. Some of the synergistic archetypes are the units that give you direction, right? Caligos, Mama Bear, Little Rag, Nomi are some extremely convenient pieces, as once you hit one of them, you kind of know what to do with the rest of your composition, right? They kind of force you into playing a particular style. So that's actually really good for Galakrond, as once you get them, you can kind of just force and continue using your hero power to try to get more synergy for the particular style that you got. Brand and Lifefang are also good pieces to get. However, they require extra synergy with them. You can't just have a brand and hope to win the game from there. You need to find other pieces that can also supplement those units that you hit. But those are really some of the best synergistic pieces to get with this hero. So how does this minion perform when these minion types are removed? It gets weaker with elementals. Essentially, you don't want there to be less directional minions to grab. So when uh, minion types that give you direction are removed, you get a little bit weaker. I would say dragons are the best composition to hit, so it's a big weakness if you don't have dragons available in the pool, because you can't get Galagos, you can't hit Nadina and things like that. And with Beast, you also get slightly weaker since Mama Bear is not available. So playing this hero turn one, you're either gonna hero power something in the shop and buy that immediately, or most likely you're gonna hero power something in the shop and lock that and buy something else. So here we have an example board. We see tokens are still really good, so we'd buy the token here, hero power something, and lock the board as well. Turn two, you'll probably continue using your ability power and locking the unit for next turn. There are some cases where you stay on one to play faster tempo, but in a lot of cases, those are very specific and not usual. So I would say that normally you just level here and continue hero powering the minion you did on the previous turn. Turn three, here you can either buy the unit or you can start upgrading another unit, or you can continue hero powering the same unit, hoping to get a tower in 5 direction, a tower in 6 direction. So here we have a split example. Here you can if you rolled this, right, you had 2 directions here. You could either have bought the tier 4 minion, or you could still continue locking and hero powered for the next turn. So we'll see how each of these plays turn out. So turn 4 or 5 play, many people just either continue using their ability until they hit a tavern 5 or 6 unit that they want and creating a composition from there. So considering you did not buy the tavern 4 minion, you could have ended up on a board like this on tavern 5 just by hero powering and waiting until there. Alternatively, you could have filled the board out with strong tavern 3 or 4 units that were powerful. So you might go for this direction if you find units like Boulevard, Mechano Egg, Bronze Ward, and Herald of the Flame. Those type of units are really powerful for their cost. So let's say you did buy the Herald, right? You could have ended up on a board that looks something like this. So also quite powerful. So there are directions to be made even in the early to mid game and what you want to do based on the the units that you roll. In the turn 6 nearing the mid game, this is the point where either you have that tier 5 or tier 6 directional unit that you bought, or you are strong from buying those tavern 3 or 4 units. So you have to make a bit of a judgment call on what would give you the best chance to hit those directions that you need. Do you want to just level up quickly, or do you want to hero power or slow down the turns and find scaling units? Turn 7 here, you want to be leveling up at least tavern 4 by this turn, and then from there you really try to play the game out normally using either the higher tier units or using the power from the early game units to scale. So after that turn 8 plus, where you're hitting the end game, these decisions get a little bit more complicated, and it's completely dependent on what units and directions you got during the early to mid game, right? So if you got Caligos, right, it's pretty simple. If you got Mama Bear, it's pretty simple. You kind of know what to do, right? But if you got a little bit weaker, you have a bunch of powerful units, maybe you just want to level and try to find a good clean direction while you're still healthy, things like that. Try to keep your composition clean. I think what clean means for me is that each unit serves a purpose on your board, and look for the key pieces that you'll need to win. So Galakrond tends to have health to work with, since you can scale really effectively and not take damage once you get a key piece. So don't be afraid to make risky plays to get a stronger board state overall. Some of the hero specific strategies you can do is, you don't have to hero power the highest tier minion on the shop. You can always hero power lower tier minions if you're trying to find triples that you need or a key piece, right? So let's say you're on tavern 5 and you have a 5 in the shop, you could maybe hero power tavern 4 minion and try to look for a brand or a baron or something like that. Early tavern 6 minions can be extremely disgustingly strong and can carry the early games by themselves. So if you do hit something like the Imama we had in the example, you can feel free to power level from that point on, because you're really going to be very powerful compared to your opponents that you're fighting. So it's something to keep in mind. It's also completely reasonable to stay on low tavern tiers if you find a key directional piece, for example, Caligos or Nomi. If you find something like that, you don't really need to level up from that point on, right? You have the hero power to give you the units that you might want, so you can focus on scaling until the later stages of the game and just use your hero power to find extra units that you need. So my final thoughts, Galvatron's a fun but complicated hero that allows for many different compositions to shine. So making sure that you utilize his hero power smartly and every single turn for key directional pieces is the best way, in my opinion, to climb for this meta with this hero. Thank you for watching. All right, the guide's over. You can do something else. Go finish your game. You probably clicked on it while you're trying to win. See ya.